How many of you can think of a time you heard of a pit bull attack? Probably a few, right? Did you know that many of the attacks you hear about on the news are often used as attention getters? They often will only say that it was a pit bull, and then you read farther into it and find out it was a totally different breed of dog. According to the American Kennel Club, pit bull is a term commonly used to describe a particular type of dog, many being of mixed breeding that has some ancestry leading back to the United States. Pit bull is also sometimes described for mixed or breeds not registered with the AKC, which is the American Kennel Club. There was even an article in Sports Illustrated in July of 1987 that had a picture of a snarling dog on the front of it. It highlighted how the pit bull terrier was a bad family dog, and it described reasons why you should not take this dog as a pet. At the time the article was written, dog fighting was becoming increasingly more popular, and they had commonly used the pit bull as the most popular dog to use in dog fights, as they were very loyal and easily trained. Dog fights have been illegal in the United States in all states since the 1960s. However, they were hardly enforced. These were hardly enforcing these laws until around the 1990s, when it became severely less socially acceptable. In 2007, there was a law passed by Congress called the Animal Fighting Enforcement Act. This act made dog fighting much more severe when it came to repercussions, making it a felony. If you get found guilty of it, it could make you serve up to 3 years in jail and pay a $250,000 fine. It also is illegal if you even consider bringing a minor, or if you even just go to view the attacks. This information comes from the ASPCA. Pit bulls by nature are sweet and protective creatures. Over the years, they have been bred to exhibit these bad qualities that people associate with bad, scary dogs. When most of this behavior comes from bad breeding. Up until the 1980s, the pit bull was one of the most commonly used dogs for a family. They even had the nickname of the nanny dog because of how loyal they were to their family. In the earliest part of the 20th century, they were the most common breed. Is it fair for us to judge a whole breed based on the actions of a few? Due to the bad reps that these loving dogs have, it's caused them to be one of the few breeds that have breed-specific regulations placed on them by cities. Thankfully, there is no animal-specific laws in the Fargo-Moorhead area. However, there are many cities that do have them, and this causes a lot of problems with people wanting to own them, especially when these dogs are almost certainly harmless. You are much more likely to get attacked by a Doberman than by a pit bull. Again, many of the issues stem from misidentification. A recent study done in 4 shelters in Jacksonville found that out of 120 dogs they had participate in the study, 55 of them were thought to be pit bull. After the identification, they did a DNA test on them. Of the 55, only 25% of them were actually found to have any pit bull in them. This shows that even people who are well versed and very trained in dogs still have the ability to misidentify these breeds on a pretty regular basis. I would like to tell you some statistics now. There is a 1 in 120,400 chance of someone dying of a dog bite, and there is a 1 in 77 chance you will die in a car crash. This number comes from cars.com. This means you are far more likely to die in a car crash than by a dog bite, yet this doesn't stop people from driving cars. If you look at the temperament of a pit bull, they score an 87.4 by the American Temperament Test Society. As I've already touched on, if your dog does not have common training or even well socialized with other people, then it's very easy that your dog will exhibit the same bad behaviors that a dog could show without those training. In comparison to the pit bull, temperament of an Australian Shepherd scored a 82.2% on the test, and most people would generally consider the Australian Shepherd as a friendly breed. Out of the 931 pits that were examined, 814 of them passed pass the test. This highlights the misconception people have again. The bottom line is that we should not judge a breed on the actions of few and have a much more open mind towards them.
During your research, did you find any statistics looking at regional differences from like the Midwest attacks to like Southern attacks, or like vice versa there?
So when I was doing my research, I didn't find anything in like specific that related to like regions. I did find it was more of like an overall statistical analysis of like the United States as a whole.
Fair enough.
Are there any places that ban pit bulls?
I would say due to, like I spoke about in the speech, the high misconception about pit bulls. There are a lot of like apartment buildings and even some dog daycares that will not allow the specific breed into their areas.
So in like my clinical experience, I have noticed like more pocket breeds I have issues with biting, like your Chihuahuas and Beagles. Did you find anything in your research supporting that?
Yeah, actually when I was doing my research, I found a lot of evidence that actually Chihuahuas have a really high bite rate. People will antagonize the small dog and it's really likely that they could bite them.